internet questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity, this afternoon at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Well, it was a colorful day yesterday between the paid protesters at the Kavanaugh hearing, and I'm not talking just about the U.S. senators, in addition to them, to the audio of Trump's exchange with Bob Woodward regarding his inability to figure out a time to sit down with Woodward or to get the message that Woodward wanted to sit down in advance of his book on the Trump administration, which is a rite of passage for presidents for about the last 50 years with respect to Woodward. And, well, 50 may be exaggerating, but the last 35 years, yeah. But, I mean, Trump... It's the way Trump kind of brushed it off. I don't know. A message didn't get to me, but it sounds like I'm going to have another bad book. What are you going to do? It comes with a job. I don't care. The important thing is focusing on all the good that I've done because things have never been better for the country than under this guy.
But you never called for me. It would have been nice, Bob, if you called for me in my office. I mean, I have a secretary. I have 2-3 secretaries. If you would have called directly, a lot of people are afraid that Raj, I hardly have, I don't speak to Raj. I do, and Kellyanne went to somebody, but she didn't come to me. And she should have come to me. She does have access to me, absolutely. She has direct access, but she didn't come to me. And you know what? That's okay. I'll just end up with another bad book. What can I tell you?
It's surprising to me that these people, did Raj have access to you?
Not really, but he would have been able to do it. But I have an office. You have the office number. I have an office that's directly into my office. It doesn't matter. Let me tell you what matters. The economy is the best it's been in many, many decades, and it's going to get a lot better. And the country is doing very well. That's what's important.
That's what's important, says President Trump to Bob Woodward. Is he going to continue to be able to say that through the fourth quarter of this calendar year? For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Stephen Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, chief economist for CNN. Steve, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys.
So what about that? The economy is doing better than it's done in decades. Things are going good with the country, and that's the important thing, says President Trump.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, the economy is firing on all cylinders right now, no question about it. And we're actually seeing a pickup in growth now. I mean, the latest forecast for the third quarter GDP, which, at the end of September is when that quarter is over, 4.5% growth. And that's something almost all the liberal economists said was impossible because, of course, the Messiah couldn't get us to 3 to 4% growth. So how could Donald Trump possibly do it? Mm-hmm. So he's right. I mean, and by the way, during the campaign, as you know, Larry Kudlow and I worked, with Trump during the campaign. Every single poll that we looked at from the time he first started running for president in April of 2015 through Election Day, the number one issue for the country was jobs. The number two issue for the country was the economy, jobs in the economy. That's what it was all about. And now we've got, this turbocharged economy, and it's so interesting to me. Nobody in the media wants to talk about the economy anymore. Now, let me make another point, though, if I may, because I do know Donald Trump. I've gotten to know him pretty well. Uh-huh. And I am a great admirer of his. I mean, I think what he's done on the economy has been fantastic. But one of his fatal flaws, I shouldn't say fatal flaws, but one of his flaws that we're now discovering is he's not always the best judge of character, and some of the people that he surrounded himself with in the White House and in the campaign were just not upstanding people. And they were people who were, like, what's this woman's name, Ambrosia or
Omarosa.
Omarosa. Who goes to the White House and tapes every conversation? I mean, that's such a subversive activity. And then, people like, we know that one of the major sources for the Woodward book is Gary Cohn.
Yeah.
Gary Cohn was going to be Hillary Clinton's chief economist. And somehow, right after the election, Donald Trump falls in love with the guy, and he becomes the chief economist, not Larry Kudlow, because it wasn't Kudlow out of the gates. And I had predicted, by the way, I think I predicted on this show, but I know I predicted. I said, 6 months after Gary Cohn leaves, he is going to either write a book, trashing Trump, or he's going to be the source for a book that trashes Trump. And unfortunately, I was right about that. So I think the problem is, Trump has surrounded himself with some people are never Trumpers.
Well,
Yeah,
and
Michael Cohen, not to mention his personal attorney.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but also Gary Cohn. There's another cautionary tale there. We talked about it when he was named, and that's the revolving door of guys from Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley, the big rent-seeking banks, that these amoral scumbags like John Corzine and Gary Cohn may be just a step or two above that.
You got it. You got it. It is the revolving door. That's a great way to describe it. And it's Robert Rubin. Remember him?
Yeah.
He was a Goldman Sachs guy. I mean, you could go down the whole list of people who worked as chairman of Goldman Sachs. And by the way, do you think it's a coincidence, Dan and Amy, that every time we make a financial decision, that the government changes the rules, what company always comes out smelling like a rose?
Yeah, Goldman Sachs, like when they bailed out AIG to save Goldman in the recession.
Exactly. And so that's how these people get rich, and so that was a big mistake. One other quick thing about the Woodward book. Last night I was watching CNN and they were just pillorying Trump, and one of the few Trump people they had on said, well, look, you can't always believe everything that Bob Woodward says, and the sources, half of the sources in the book, by the way, have already said I never said that.
Right.
So anyway, CNN said, oh my God, it's Bob Woodward. He's a god. He doesn't lie about this stuff. I mean, he's an unimpeachable source. Well, there's a very famous story that he wrote a book, Woodward, back maybe 25 years ago about Bill Casey. He was the director of the CIA under Reagan.
Blame the dead
I don't know
guy.
if you know this story,
Right.
but Woodward claims that he had an interview with Bill Casey literally on his deathbed when he was in the hospital, where Bill Casey spilled his guts apparently to Woodward and said everything we did was wrong, and it was like this deathbed conversion by Bill Casey. Nobody believes it was true. They have cameras in the hospital. A family member was with him every single day in the last week of his life. There was zero opportunity for Bob Woodward. Completely made that up. Completely made it up.
Really?
Well,
This is the guy who we say, oh, he's unimpeachable. He never makes things up. We know with almost 100% certainty he made up that story.
Well,
it never happened.
Well, it's not even about Bob Woodward. The idea that anyone in the media would say someone is unimpeachable, we don't have to examine it because this person is unimpeachable. Well, what kind of journalism is that? No one is unimpeachable, especially in politics and media. Oh my gosh.
You and Amy are unimpeachable, but other than
Amy is, not me. Here, one other thing, just on personnel decisions, since you were pointing this out with respect to Gary Cohn in the book. How about the trade team? Navarro, Wilbur Ross, Lighthizer. Good personnel decisions?
Look, Navarro, I don't always agree with Peter Navarro, but Peter Navarro was a guy with Trump from the beginning, and he has an outlook on China that is maybe different than mine and Larry's. He wrote a book called Death by China. Trump, was taken by that stuff, and so I don't have a problem with Peter Navarro being part of that group. Lighthizer, I don't always agree with him on trade. He actually knows a hell of a lot about trade law, and that's a big advantage when you're in these negotiations because there's thousands and thousands of pages of trade law. And Wilbur Ross, look, he was there. He was there with Trump from the beginning as well. But the most important thing for Trump, I think, is to have both sides. If you're going to have people like Wilbur Ross, who's more of a trade protectionist than I am, at least you need somebody like Mnuchin and a Larry Kudlow to balance that debate. So I don't have a problem with those three. I just hope that the free marketeers prevail on some of these debates. And frankly, I actually think Trump is winning on trade. I really do. I think he got a big deal with Mexico that is more advantageous to the United States. I will predict on this show that within a week or two, Canada is going to come hand in hand and make very substantial concessions to Trump because they can't be the odd man out when it comes to NAFTA, and then you move to the EU, and then you move to China. And I think by the end of this year, Trump is going to have trade deals that lead to freer trade and fairer trade for the United States. And when that happens, it goes back to your original question. Will the economy continue to prosper? If he gets these trade deals done, you ain't seen nothing yet.
From your mouth to Trump's ears. One local issue I wanted to have you tackle. Illinois just set the record. So, you're a native Illinois, North Shorean.
Yeah.
So I wanted to celebrate this for you. We broke the record for pension debt in United States history. Thank you very much. Congratulations. It took everybody.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of credit or lack of credit to go around. Moody's Investor Service released a report at the end of August. Illinois' unfunded liabilities grew 25% in 2017 to $250 billion.
Yep.
That equates to 601% of own source revenue, meaning money brought in by the state, excluding federal funds. The ratio of pension debt to revenue is the highest on record for any U.S. state. The national median is 1/6 of that, 107%.
Whoa.
Wow. So, you know, I have a solution to the problem.
Okay, what is it?
Issue more debt.
Okay.
I mean, I thought that was the Illinois solution.
Yeah.
You know, that, hey, we found a way out of this. We're gonna get rid of the pension debt by issuing other kind of debt, paying off the pension. I mean, I'm not making this up, right? I mean, isn't that what the politicians come up with? We're gonna switch bond A with bond B.
We have
and therefore, voila. Only the people in Springfield can come up with that kind of solution.
We follow the Joe Biden philosophy here. We need to continue spending to keep from going bankrupt.
Exactly. But look, I mean, why would anybody move to Illinois and buy a house there when, you know, a lot of what you're going to be paying for in terms of your record high property taxes is not for any government services. You're just going to be paying for the debt for the services that were provided 20 and 25 years ago.
Bingo. Steve Moore, CNN chief economist, Wall Street Journal columnist. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Okay. Have a great week, guys. Take care.
Too.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you